Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Before We Vanish, a Japanese drama, comedy, romance, action flick from 2017 that was directed by Kiyoshi Kurosawa. Now, in anticipation of their impending invasion, three aliens take control of three Japanese citizens and attempt to steal human concepts. This film has two storylines that it shifts between. Now, a salarywoman, played by Masami Nagasawa, is having some trouble with her husband, played by Ryuhei Matsuda, who is exhibiting signs of memory loss. She's confused because he's acting strangely and seems to not be the same person she's known since they started dating all those years ago. Now, while being evaluated at a clinic, one of the doctors thinks that it's perhaps an early case of Alzheimer's, but the truth is that he's an alien, and his wife is completely oblivious to this fact for most of the film. The second story involves a reporter who agrees to be a local boy's driver as they look for a teenage girl who murdered her family. Now, the reporter is already getting tips from his contacts that something strange is going on in the area, and he has tried but failed to seek specific guidance from military personnel. But he gets word about this massacred family and goes to the crime scene where he meets this boy who is an alien who wants to look for the murderer for a specific reason. Now, this young man almost immediately tells the reporter that he is in fact an alien, but the reporter really doesn't believe it at first. He just wants to scoop related to the murdered family, so he works with him to find the girl. Now, the number one thing that I need to point out about Before We Vanish is that this is a very nutty film that uses some tonal shifts while it transitions between the various different genres. For example, the opening scene is a horror movie sequence that shows the aftermath of a family that was murdered. Then it immediately shifts to a humorous sequence involving the killer. So, yeah. Then later on, there are multiple action sequences, like short action sequences, but action sequences nonetheless, and even a few heartfelt moments. It's a cornucopia of genre-blending madness, I guess you could call it. But with that said, its highs and lows are not as extreme as something like Dead or Alive, the Takashi Miike film, where you have some really nasty moments, as well as some delightfully funny, crazy moments, you know what I mean? It's also not as extreme as something like Confession of Murder, the outstanding Korean thriller, where you had outlandish action scenes that were mixed in with some very dark serial killer elements. On the contrary, Before We Vanish stays within that wheelhouse that Kiyoshi Kurosawa likes to operate within. I mean, you could call it an art house wheelhouse, if you like, which kind of prevents the film from stretching too far out in any one particular direction or tone or genre. You know what I mean? So even the wackier moments in this film feel like they naturally belong within the world that's created, in my opinion. There are some throwback references to some of Kiyoshi's prior films. The aliens use a mix of mesmerism and lobotomies, I guess you could call them, as they steal the concepts from the humans, which reminded me a little bit of Cure. Also, there's a possible worldwide apocalypse, which has been used a few times previously in his films. However, Kiyoshi's never made a film quite like Before We Vanish before, and that's likely due to its use of so many different genres at one time, including comedy and action. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but Kiyoshi actually has a very good sense of humor, I think. Some of his more obscure titles, like The Excitement of the Do-Re-Mi-Fa Girl and the Suit Yourself or Shoot Yourself films with Sho Aikawa, have proven that, in my opinion. He also did a little dramatic thriller called Seventh Code that had a few good action takedowns in it from what I remember. So most viewers will get a flavor of those genres for the first time in a Kiyoshi Kurosawa film, which makes Before We Vanish rather refreshing and fun to watch in an art house sort of way. This movie will not be for everyone. It's a little odd. It's a little odd, and it's art house. Some of the things I just mentioned, like the tonal shifts, might throw some people off, and there are a few other things that could throw some people off here. There's some exposition between the characters, like the aliens and the humans, that explain things in dialogue form. But given the premise and the structure of the film, I found those conversations entertaining and did not think that they were simply dumping, plot lines onto the viewer's lap. But some may disagree with that. The opening half may seem a little bit repetitive, because the aliens continue to steal random human concepts that they encounter, but I found it interesting anyways because of the reactions of the victims after their concepts are stolen. And I'm being intentionally vague regarding this whole concept stealing aspect, but I do that for a reason. Still, some viewers may find the film to be a little bit too slow in terms of pacing. And the ending will likely be divisive among some viewers as well. But again, I liked it because I think it makes the entire film make more sense. Because throughout the whole film, I'm just saying to myself, why don't the aliens just take over the planet? Like, what's the point in gathering information on humans at all? You know what I mean? But after seeing the ending, I had a better grasp of their motivations. And, again, some people may not like it, but I did. So, in summary, Before We Vanish is really one of Kiyoshi Kurosawa's more interesting films from recent years. It takes balls to make a film this nutty. It really does. And the more I think about it, the more I like it. It really kind of grows on you, or at least it did on me, significantly. I definitely see myself rewatching this one actually quite a bit in the future. It's a fun little movie, but again, in an art house kind of way. It's currently available on Region 1 DVD in the United States, and as always, I'll see you next time.